Hello everyone, this is Homeschool. I'm in a class of my own and I'm going to talk about Dizaster versus Iron Solomon, which just got its official release on King of the Dots YouTube channel today. And a lot of people, when this battle first happened about a month ago at their Blackout 6 event, were calling it an instant classic and one of the potential Battle of the Year candidates already. And since then, there have been like 5 other battles that people are calling Battle of the Year, so I don't know how well that's going to hold up. But for me personally, I was really excited because when I first saw it, when it was live on the pay-per-view, I tweeted calling it potentially my favorite battle of all time. I'm not sure if that still holds true. It has a few flaws here and there that kind of bug me, but overall, it really is a fantastic battle. Definitely one of my favorites. I think it's as good as, if not better than, Dizaster versus DNA, which a lot of people cite as their favorite King of the Dot battle of all time. Yeah, this one's definitely as memorable, if not more memorable than that one. Anyhow, getting into it, this is going to be a very controversial battle because Dizaster had a lot, and I mean a lot, of offensive racial content. Like, he starts his first round off by saying, "What you're about to hear is the mother of all anti-Semitic hate raps," and he delivers on that throughout the entire thing. And it's done in such a way that you know it's tongue-in-cheek and he's just roasting Iron Solomon for his heritage. So I wasn't too offended. If anyone who's really familiar with battle rap isn't going to be all that offended, but this isn't a good battle to show your grandma or your really conservative cousins or anyone who's not really familiar with battle rap if you're trying to get them into battle rap. It's a battle to just show to longtime fans, basically, and I feel like it's a very good battle for people who've been following battle rap for a very long time, like since the grind time days and before, like in the WRCs and even before then, really, because it's got a lot of very old school elements to it, but then it borrows a lot from the new school as well. So, like, if all you like in battle rap is back-to-back punches, like 3 or 4 punches every 2 lines, and nothing but gun bars back-to-back, then you're probably not going to like this one too much because it's a lot slower building. It's a very long battle, and there's angles that they take a long time to build up before they really get into things, and it's very similar to the older character assassination style of battle rap in some ways, but there is a lot of creative punches and modern elements thrown in there too. So anyway, getting into the first round, despite all the offensiveness, which was quite a bit, I thought Dizaster had an incredible first round. He had a ton of quotables. He had his trademark aggression, a lot of back-to-back multi-stacking, which some people don't like the style of, but I feel like it's something that he makes work very well, especially when you really break down what he's saying in the punches and how he's putting concepts together. And some of it isn't always perfectly coherent, but it's always creative and it's always entertaining. And he has a very good delivery. Like, a lot of people say he stutters too much, but it's usually not when he's actually saying his lines. It's more in between his lines when he's trying to fight for the crowd to calm down and he doesn't want to just be silent and wait for them to finish. He wants to keep going. And I don't really see that as too much of a weakness. But anyway, I thought he finished the first round really strong all the way through. He was really good. He had a concept in the middle about comparing Iron Solomon to Iron Man and showing ways that they were similar, and it was really effective. And after the first round, I was like, wow, this is one of the best Diz performances I've seen in a while. Like, Iron Solomon's got his work cut out for him, and Iron Solomon surprised me. I'm going to be honest. I know he's considered an OG. I know a lot of people consider him one of the most influential battle rappers ever. But going into this battle, he wasn't even in my top 20. Like, he was out of the game for a while, and then he battled Mook on your URL like 3 years ago, and that was a disaster. And then he didn't make a return for a very long time until recently on King of the Dot when he battled Daylight, and he did a lot better in that, and I thought he was really good. but like at the same time, I had Daylight taking every round, even though he had like half the material that Iron Solomon had. And so, like, as far as his current stock, I did not have him very high. He wasn't even in my top 20. But after this battle, he is in my top 5. He showed me why he's considered a legend with this battle. He really showed me why he's considered a legend, and I can't wait for his next performance. But anyway, his first round started out a little bit shaky. He had some questionable, outdated material, and a line about duck feet that didn't make a lot of sense, and a line about thesaurus that was absolute garbage. But like after that, he just started building momentum. He had line after line that was just hitting really creatively, and his concepts and his personal angles that he took against Diz were super cutting and really attacking Diz's character and taking it down really well. Dizaster said in an interview after the battle that he felt that Dizaster, had the crazier punches, but that Iron Solomon really broke him down very well and picked apart his character, and that because of that, he wouldn't mind anyone saying that Iron Solomon won the battle. I can really see that, but based on the fact that he didn't have a very strong beginning to his first round, in a lot of ways, I had Dizaster edging that first round just because he was more consistent all the way through. And so then going into the second round, Dizaster started really strong again. He cut off of the racial angles a little bit, focused on some other things. He had a line about Allen Iverson that was really, really good, and he continued on from there. It was a bit of a more humorous round from him at a lot of points, and sometimes the jokes flopped a little bit, and sometimes they were really effective. It was kind of in and out. Overall, it was still a very strong round, though, and I was thinking at that point, you know what, that was really good, but that's beatable. If Iron Solomon delivers another round like his first, he might be able to top that. And Iron Solomon, his second round was way better than his first. He didn't start off slow, just got right into it, was good the entire time, had a lot of incredibly good personal angles. Like he was talking about the costume battle that Dizaster hosted at Halloween time this past year, and said that he had people in fake personas for battles so that he didn't have to be the only one who knows what that felt like. And Dizaster the whole time was just reacting to everything Iron Solomon said like he was absolutely giddy that he was being roasted so badly. It's just Dizaster just loves battle rap, and so like even if someone is saying really terrible things at him, he's going to react just because he loves just the concept of battling and being battled and being involved in battle rap. And some people don't like when people show appreciation for their opponent during their rounds. I really like it as long as they're still being very aggressive and trying to win during their actual rounds. But like when your opponent's rapping, if you're showing him respect when he drops a good bar, I can appreciate that. Like it's better than knowing that your opponent said something amazing and then just not admitting it, in my opinion. But yeah, Iron Solomon's second round was very good, and I had him taking that one by about the same margin I had Dizaster taking the first round. And at this point, I'm like, oh my goodness, Dizaster's delivering a performance that's like his performance versus Cannabis or his performance versus DNA. It's just as good as that, and Iron Solomon is matching it, and in some ways outdoing it. And like I said, I had to raise his stock on my personal list just from those first two rounds alone. I was starting to really see why people consider him to be such an important figure in battle rap. Mendiz started his third, and he, for a very, very long time during this round, had me thinking that he was going to outdo his first round. He was incredible. He was delivering a lot of rapid fire punches, a lot of very creative concepts, and he went back to a lot of the racial stuff, and the shock value was still working, but he had some other stuff too, and it was working really well. And then he got to a part where he uh, accuses Jews of orchestrating the 9/11 attacks and that it was set up. Now, I know he had a lot of racial content in his first couple rounds that were technically more offensive than that, but this one didn't work for me for a few reasons. First off, in his third round, earlier on, he had said, "I'm not anti Semitic, stop tripping," basically saying, "Yeah, I'm roasting you for being Jewish, but I'm not actually a bad anti Semitic guy." And then he follows that up by saying, "Okay, Jews caused 9/11." That's a bit of a contradiction in my eyes. Like, if he was just continuing to roast Iron Solomon for his Jewishness, that would be one thing. But no, this was meant to be a real talk angle. He was saying everyone's been blaming Arabs for 9/11, but the Jews were the real culprit. The Jews orchestrated this. And regardless of whether or not all that conspiracy stuff is true, it's beside the point. The point is that he said, "I'm not anti Semitic." And then he delivered a real talk round, not just a round where he was roasting Iron Solomon. Much of this round was very clearly meant to be a real talk round, and it was directed against Jewish people, blaming them for something that was basically conspiracy theory. And just those two things happening in the same round did not mesh for me. A lot of people really dug it, I know. For me, it just didn't work. Like, you can say as much racial crap as you want to in a battle, and it'll work if you're doing it in a tongue-in-cheek way like he did with his material earlier on. Or if you want to do, you can take a fully racist angle and pretend it's all real, but whatever. But this one, he specifically said, "I'm not anti-Semitic," and then delivered anti-Semitic content that was meant to be real talk. And it just really hurt what could have been a very, very, very good round. And it still was a very good round, but it really hurt his performance that he decided to go down that route and try to make a real talk angle out of something that was a joke for the rest of his round. And anyhow, he finished it off very strangely. He did what I thought it was kind of messed up a bit by a prop malfunction, but he had a really good Hitler impression that was really funny and super offensive, but Hitler jokes are pretty commonplace in our culture, let's be honest. Everyone does Hitler jokes. That's as old as like movies like The Producers, which came out in '68. People have been doing offensive Hitler jokes forever, and we're kind of just used to them now. So I wasn't as bothered by it as I'm sure some people were. And then he finished out his third round rapping in Arabic, which was pretty cool because he was giving a shout out to his heritage and some of the problems that his people were facing back home, and it was cool. But once again, he was tying it back into that whole "oh, the Jews caused 9/11" thing. And if you're gonna say you're not anti-Semitic, don't be anti-Semitic, or at least make it very clear that you're being tongue-in-cheek about it. Don't try to make it into a real talk thing. So anyhow, I was thinking Dizaster had a very strong round, but it was hurt a little. And so I wasn't sure what Iron Solomon was going to do in his third. And what he delivered, it wasn't as bar heavy or as out there as what Dizaster's third round was, but it was absolutely biting as a personal angle. Like, it starts out sounding a bit like a fake personal. Dizaster was reacting like, "Oh, that's not true," but as it went along, it was you could tell Dizaster was like, "Oh, I remember that, I remember that." And he just basically totally takes apart the way Dizaster was acting around him during the grind time days around the Grizzlemania events, and then he goes into an absolutely incredible scheme about how he fathered the scene that Dizaster's a part of, and he closed that scheme with a haymaker that was probably one of the bars of the entire event, if not the battle. And the fact that it was a haymaker that was built into an incredibly effective personal just made it one of those amazing lines that I think I'm going to remember for a very long time and just be quoting it to myself in my head randomly when I'm not even thinking about battle raps sometimes. It was that kind of line. It was really good. And then he went and had a very strong finish to his round after that. And if Dizaster had kept up the quality of the start of his third round, I think I would have given him that round. But like I said, there were some things in his third that bugged me. And Iron Solomon had an almost perfect third round. It didn't take quite as many risks as Dizasters did, but it accomplished everything it set out to do very well and very creatively. And so I had that round edged to Iron Solomon, and the entire battle edged 2-1 to Iron Solomon. It can go either way. A lot of people are going to say Dizaster won. He definitely had the more eccentric, entertaining performance, but I felt Iron Solomon's directness, his personals, the way he put some of his wordplay together, some things that he had come up with that I'd never heard before, and just overall the fact that he was able to almost match Dizaster's energy, but also like bring every other aspect of battle rap to the table as well, all at once like that, was really impressive. And I said he didn't used to be in my top 20 before this battle. He's in my top 5 now. Like, that's how good his performance was here. He turned himself from an OG I never really appreciated and turned himself into a current battle rapper that I think is one of the best. Just with this battle. And I have him winning against one of the best Dizaster performances ever, and a guy who has battles like DNA and Cannabis in his back catalog, to say that this is one of the best Dizaster performances, and to say that Iron Solomon I actually have winning this battle. This really says something about the quality of it. I think it's going to be a battle that a lot of people love. It's a battle I love, and I think that I can't wait to see their next battles. I hear Iron Solomon's already locked in to appear at Massacre in May. I'm definitely psyched for that, and anyhow, you can leave a comment saying what you think about the battle. I'm not mad if you give the battle to Dizaster. It's a very close one, and I think that it's going to be one of the most talked about battles of the year. Maybe not what people call the battle of the year, but definitely one of the most talked about battles. And anyway, this is Homeschool signing off. Bye for now.